Hi, everybody. It's Craig from Picks and Parlays, and I got Sean Higgs with me, of course, from Winning Free Picks, and want to welcome everybody in. We're on not just the Picks and Parlays channels, we're on the Winning Free Picks channels and the Max Wagers Network. Of course, it's March Madness 2020. The brackets are out, and some surprises, Sean, and some not surprises, but we're going to give you some we're going to look at the brackets. We're going to kind of break down each bracket. Then we're going to maybe talk the second half of the show more about the betting lines and the individual games, because it's one thing if we can pick a good bracket or, maybe give you some insight on some of these teams. But it's another thing when we talk about how these teams match up against each other, and especially against the betting numbers or the betting totals. So, Sean, I know you've been hot lately. How you been doing?
Yeah, college hoops, nice. We wrapped up a nice future. Richmond was 10-1 today. Got it done. So, I do the little midday money, and I did go, 7-25. I threw all the picks I threw out for futures in the tournaments. I ended up being down 235. So 7-25, but when you hit I didn't have it right in front of me, but we had Richmond was a big one. I did have a favorite in Arizona, 135. Wright State was, I think, 345 or 390. Bryant was a plus 105. Chattanooga was a plus 275. So we dogged up a little bit. Again, I told people, you got to have fun with the futures, because I know people don't like locking in things. People don't like betting on a Monday for Sunday NFL. They sure as heck don't want to lock in college basketball they know nothing about. But, hey, having a little fun, you bet 30 games and you lose. If you're betting a little bit, you lose $30. I mean, it wouldn't even cost you that much. So,
well, if you hit a couple, though, then you win big.
And I had 4 championship game losers. So if you would have hedged a little there, you would have made some money. But
this is the time of year, though, Sean, when you look at talking about futures, you're talking about futures in the NCAA. Usually, you kind of can count that you got a 1, 2, 3, maybe even a 4 seed that you can bet. Not this year. I think it's the most wide open tournament ever by far. Now, how that ends up affecting, because when I think the top teams are worse, and I think the bottom teams are worse too. So it's kind of like maybe it kind of works its way out, and we still see about what we normally do.
Yeah, there'll be I was looking over this, because listen, the brackets are fine, but you got to look at the numbers, right? That's what we're about. And I want to start here, like this Gonzaga bracket, like definitely no favors in this bracket for Gonzaga. I mean, are you kidding me? Duke at the bottom. I thought, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it all about like the college football? We don't like rematches. Georgia, who wants to see Georgia, Alabama? We want to see Gonzaga, Duke. That's okay. College basketball rematch is okay. College football, it's not okay. I mean, Duke, Alabama, Texas Tech. Are you kidding me? Arkansas, UConn, Memphis I think was a top 5 or top 10 team to start the year, right? A lot of talent on the team. Look at that bracket for Gonzaga, who was, I think,
they would have been the overall number 1 seed.
They were the overall 1 seed. Are you kidding me with that bracket? You could have a bunch of teams that could be number 1 overall at any time during the year in that bracket. Crazy.
Well, I will say Gonzaga, I think, yes, they're the overall number 1 seed, I guess, if you rank the 4 number 1 seeds. So we got Baylor, Kansas, Arizona, Gonzaga, the number 1 seeds. I would say Gonzaga, maybe got the toughest 2 seed, but let's remember, Duke, they got crushed at home for Coach K on his going away day by their rival North Carolina, and did not look good in the ACC tournament. Virginia Tech, we'll talk about them here in a little bit. Not the greatest seed, obviously not the best team all year long, and ran off the floor. So I guess it's how you match up. And so we'll talk about this West bracket though. Higgs, obviously, I was kind of surprised in this bracket. I was surprised Alabama, as much as they struggled down the stretch. I couldn't believe they got a 6 seed. And to me, you see Tom Izzo, maybe the best college basketball coach in the NCAA tournament, as far as he always does well. He's a 7 seed, yeah. So what did you think, though? I do think there's some question there. Yeah, Arkansas and Connecticut at the top. For Gonzaga, that's who it looks like they'll probably have to beat to go to the Sweet 16. What do you think of that top half of the West?
I think it's tough. I don't think Memphis will. I like kind of Boise, but I think Memphis will get it done. They're good. They seem to be playing better down the stretch. I don't think that's a gimme for Gonzaga, because Memphis has the athletes that kind of want to run up and down too. So that's no cakewalk. And then they have, UConn or Arkansas to come through there. That's not easy. This is, you think you pencil them in, but I'm an upset guy, so I'm having Gonzaga knocked out somewhere along the line here, whether it's a 2nd, 3rd round, 4th round, wherever. I can't just pencil them into a Final Four appearance. No way. No,
Yeah, I like Arkansas out of that top half. Don't you think Arkansas, Note, for people that haven't watched the SEC, I mean, he was basically the second best player in the SEC. Some people thought he was the best player. I mean, he's an elite player. They have elite athletes. They don't have a ton of size. I mean, they have a couple big guys. Gonzaga's huge. I mean, they are loaded up front. So that will be the question. But I mean, I think they're a little susceptible. Let's remember Gonzaga. They lost to a lot of the best teams they played this season.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yes, but then you see them just kind of step up and they beat Texas Tech. They beat Duke. Like they beat where you think, they're going to get knocked off here. Well, UCLA, and they're winning by 10 points. So you don't want to just say they have upset potential, but I mean, just the talent alone on the teams they're going to be facing. If somebody gets hot, this is the time. We see it in the conference tournaments. One guy can carry a team. Somebody gets hot coming in, or a lot of times I like to play on the team that lost in a championship game to kind of they get their breath again and be like, you know what, we can do this. Let's go. And you're in a spot like Arkansas team got like kind of upset. You're thinking, I thought they had a nice easy path after that. Auburn goes down. We'll talk about them in a second. Where we get to their bracket. I'm just shell shocked by like the committee's thinking. Like even the playing games. Usually you get some like. Look at this. Look at the playing games. I mean,
who plays that playing game to play Alabama? Which one of those playing games?
The Alabama playing game is Rutgers Notre Dame.
So those are two teams that I think Alabama could struggle with. This is an Alabama team that played with some of the best teams in the country in the SEC this year, but also struggled down the stretch, especially away from home. The SEC in general struggled away from home. I think that's a very tough game for them. And then Texas Tech. I mean, which Texas Tech do we team? I mean, remember Texas Tech went to Kansas, almost won. I mean, that's a very good team. I mean, what do you think out of this bottom side of the West? Obviously a lot of people are going to be picking Duke. I just don't like this Duke team, to be very honest. They seem, when they're playing great, they can beat anybody. I mean, you can say that about anybody this year. When they just play average, which I always say, you have to be able to play poorly and still win games. When they don't play well, they lose.
I got to go through. I don't think Duke has beat a ranked team this year. I don't think they beat a ranked team.
Well, maybe North Carolina was ranked when they won at North. It would have been.
I don't know.
They wouldn't have been high, though.
It could have been like 20. I mean, I could see them losing in the next round to Michigan State or Davidson. Okay, Fullerton. And Fullerton, maybe they play some ugly ball, Fullerton. I watched them the other night. I had them, and it was like 48-47 against not the Long Beach game, the game before that against Hawaii. It was just pure ugliness. Maybe they just stymied Duke. Who knows? I mean, I'm getting 16.5. Who knows? Maybe I take the Fullerton. I'm not high on Duke. Duke's getting knocked out. Duke's not in the Elite Eight. No way.
I like Davidson to beat Michigan State, but then I struggle because I don't think Davidson can beat Duke. I like this Davidson team a lot. I just think that's a bad matchup for them. So I do have Duke beating them and getting out of there, but I have Texas Tech coming out of the bottom bracket.
Well, that's it. Defense. You got the defense travels, and you've seen them play elite competition, and even struggling, they're there. It's not like they're getting.
Well, I always said, like I said, how can you win games when you don't play your best? Every team wins when you shoot 70% from the three-point line. If you play your best game this season, probably every one of them, you're going to win every game unless you're playing the number 1 or 2 seed. Can you win? Because if you're going to win 5-6 games in a row to win it all, or even get to the Sweet 16, say 2 or 3, you have to play an average game or maybe just a little above average and still be able to eke that win away. I think that Texas Tech team can win. They can win with their defense. They can win with their offense. They can play fast. They can play slow. They can beat you up on the boards. They can hit you from outside. So I like a team that can do multiple things. I think Texas Tech is from that bracket. So for me, I like Texas Tech and Arkansas in that bracket. I do have I believe, let me check and make sure. I believe I have Texas Tech coming out of that bracket. I think that Texas Arkansas game could be unbelievable if we get to that. So who do you think coming out of this bracket, Sean?
Yeah, I'm with you on the Texas Tech down below for sure. And the up top, I believe I want to ride a little Memphis through.
I
can't. I'm
always
people in the chat. I see a lot of familiar names. You sure as heck know I'm not going to say Duke or Gonzaga to come out of a bracket. So I'm going to go somewhere else in this. So I'm going to say Memphis or Texas Tech with you.
I don't know about you, but 8-9 teams always I always have these big expectations for these 8-9 teams because they're kind of those teams that maybe aren't truly upsets, But then if it's like you have to battle to win that game. 8, 9 are always close games, and then you get a 1 seed that coasted. So I think it's just so tough for 8, 9 teams to pull upset. So that's the only reason I think that Boise Memphis game is going to be a really good game. All right, so we go to let's go to the South, the opposite side. So the winner of the West will play the winner of the South in the Final Four. This is the Arizona bracket. So I thought Arizona got a pretty good bracket because I don't think Villanova's great. I do think Tennessee's the best 3 seed though. But we already seen Tennessee lost to Villanova early in the year head-to-head, so that should be a good rematch if we get to that point. And then, of course, Illinois is the 4 seed up top. What do you think of the top half of this bracket? Arizona, Illinois, of course, carrying the load up top there.
Yeah, I mean, you got Arizona. You got to like Houston, right? Because they could play a pretty good game. Both, they play different. It'll be 80-55, or it's a crazy game down in the buzzer. The problem with them, the free throw shooting, not loving them. Illinois, I kind of like Chattanooga. I got an 8.5 here with Chattanooga. Maybe an upset special there, but again, Arizona should have an easy ride here. I mean, here you got Wright State or Bryant. I don't think, Bryant. If Bryant wins, they're going to try to race with these guys, which I think take the over. And if Wright State comes, it's going to be Wright State playing ugly, and they're going to lose that game. 80, 76 to 48 or something. They're not going to be able to handle that. And then Hall and TCU is just fodder. I think that's an easy game for them.
What do you think, Sean?
I got Zona rolling, and then I think they're going to run into Tennessee. And Tennessee, they've had some bad ones. They beat Kentucky, Auburn 3 times, and they've already beat Arizona. So
What do you think? The 5-12, of course, that's always the big upsets are always, some of the biggest upsets always come. So UAB, Coach Kennedy, of course, he's very familiar. He coached under Huggins at Cincinnati, was an interim coach there. Then he was at Ole Miss, did really well. Of course, he played at UAB, back at UAB as a head coach. A lot of people saying LSU might be coming for him. So that's how much they think of Andy Kennedy. This is a good UAB team. Yeah. Houston's a team that, like you said, they can get you 80, and then at times they struggle scoring.
Listen, I seen them last year do that. It's like, oh my goodness, the team looks so good, and then they can't score for 6 minutes. I like the UAB 8.5. I'll take it. I'll grab the points in that game. But Houston, like the money, you want to talk about the numbers and the metrics, analytics. That Houston fits the bill. They're a top 5 team all around when it comes to that. But any day, you come out, you face a weird opponent, especially in a game like that. You got a small schools versus a big school, and even Houston's not even a big school. Houston's a small school looking up to Arizona or Illinois, but to UAB, it might as well be a mountaintop. It might be Mount Everest.
Well, Arizona, I don't see how I couldn't get past Arizona in this bracket. I always try to not pick a 1 seed, and I could do that in the last bracket we talked about in the West. I couldn't get past Arizona. They're just really, really good. I mean, they beat a UCLA team that was healthy. They were missing 2 of their top 6, 7 rotation, I guess you should say, and they still took care of business on a neutral floor. So I like Arizona to come out of this whole bracket. I think they'll have a pretty good time. I just don't think Illinois early in the year, I thought Illinois had a chance to be one of the top 5 or 6 teams in the country. They just never quite developed into that. To me, I think they're a little overrated, even though I do have them going all the way out to at least face Arizona. So I like Arizona. Bottom half of the bracket here, interesting matchups because, like I said, Villanova, Tennessee played earlier this year. Villanova won. Tennessee is a much hotter team, so I was kind of surprised that they weren't the 2 seed and Villanova the 3, but I guess it doesn't really matter if you look. I mean, it's not that much tougher road, maybe a little easier because, of course, one of the darlings of the last few tournaments for all of us, Loyola Chicago. They get Ohio State for the 2nd straight year gets a very tough matchup. Remember, they lost in the opening round last year. I think it was Oral Roberts beat them last year. Sean and I were together in Atlantic City. What a game that was. Very tough matchup there for Loyola Chicago and Ohio State.
Yeah, and you know what? For Ohio State fan, I think you're going to get bounced out again here because I think they're overrated. Ohio State. I think a lot of the Big Ten's overrated. I think you have, a couple good teams, and then you got guys who are just beat up each other. It's like just middling road teams. So there, I think that's easy for Nova. And you mentioned Nova already beating Tennessee. Let's move on to Tennessee. They got Longwood. They should take care of there. And then you got Colorado, Michigan, Colorado State, I should say. Again, Tennessee should move on here. And then you have the rematch. I think why I was advocating like Tennessee should get a 2 seed based on beating Arizona, Kentucky, and Auburn. But maybe they get to Nova because the head-to-head the one-time head-to-head comes into play here. Right. And this is a tough one for me because I do like Tennessee but I'm with you. I'm in Arizona all the way through. I think they get the revenge on Tennessee because it's a neutral. We've seen Arizona win on the road at other places. Tough, and it was a tough loss. They came all the way back on that Tennessee game. So, and Nova, Jay Wright's a great coach. How can we sit there and knock the guy? He's got what, two national titles in the last. Yep. I mean,
and they got experience. Guard plays always key. I like both of the guard plays in Tennessee and Villanova. I think that's going to be, if they get to play each other, going to be the best of the to go to the Sweet 16 games.
And as much as I'm high on Tennessee, I could see them like choking away just because of the experience of the Nova coach kind of, all right, guys, settle down. We got this. In a tight game, I could see them, the experience of winning a national championship and the coach's mentality just, easing the kids a little bit, and that'll be a difference maker there. The old intangibles, I'd say so.
You have the Michigan-Colorado State line just while we're here?
Yes, hold on.
That to me is the most interesting game of this side of the first round games.
I got a Colorado State plus 2.5.
Yeah, because and you see the numbers because Michigan being the bigger school and such a blue blood school. I thought Michigan should have been in the play-in game instead of either Indiana or Rutgers, to be very honest with you. They lost head-to-head to Indiana.
Indiana's in the play-in, and Indiana went further.
Right.
What is going on?
Any sense. Didn't make any sense to me. But I think Michigan, their size is going to be a big issue for Colorado State. So that should be an interesting game. Like I said, from this bracket, I do have Arizona coming out. I do have Arizona, Tennessee. With Arizona coming out, it is the only number one seed I do have in the top half of these two brackets. So we'll talk about the bottom half now. The East bracket, which is the Baylor and Kentucky bracket. I think this is a very tough bracket. Let me just read you the blue blood teams. Baylor, North Carolina, UCLA, Texas, Purdue, and Kentucky. Those are some blue blood teams. I was surprised. This is telling me, because Baylor was, I guess, the last seed in as far as the number ones, that they were the weakest bracket, and they consider Kentucky the top 2 seed, which I think Kentucky has some severe weaknesses, but I like their draw. I think they can get pretty far because I just think they match up pretty well in the draw.
Yeah, Kentucky, I think, is a team that can go all the way here and make it to the Final Four. Because, again, Purdue, we've seen them lay some eggs. Like, who could they face? UCLA, I think, will give trouble to either team. I think we have to definitely think UCLA as a live one here and as a 4 seed. Are they a sleeper 4 seed? Hello, did we see them that last year?
Yep.
This year they even play healthy, and they still rang up 25, 26 wins, and they just kind of rotated guys. And they almost had that Arizona game, kind of collapsed a little bit down the stretch there, but that kind of builds stuff for them. This is tournament time. They got here last year, nice run, right? They were in the playing game last year, so I think UCLA Kentucky is going to be a nice matchup down the road.
Don't you think?
The healthy Baylor is like the tough part because they are defending champs. So
inexperience at some guard spots. You have. I thought the 1, 2, 3, and 4 seeds all make it out, which is very rare. I ever do that. I just think there's just. The other teams aren't that great in this bracket, in my opinion. I just don't think St. Mary's has enough to beat UCLA. Yeah. St. Mary's going to grind you down.
How are they a 5 seed?
UCLA loves to play grind it down. I think St. Mary's got the 5 seed because that win over Gonzaga.
I think that's the only good win they've had all year.
Yeah, not a lot there. So, but to me, I out of this bracket, I like UCLA to come out. I just think as much as I hate Mick Cronin, he was here in Cincinnati. I'm a big Bearcat fan. I was so glad he left town. But he has some horses, and they play defense. They rebound the ball. The only reason they didn't win the Pac-12 this year is because Arizona's that good. So to me, I thought, if UCLA was in probably the Big Ten this year, they probably win the Big Ten. I think if they were in the SEC, they probably win the SEC. I thought Arizona was just that much better than everybody else. So to me,
you're going to see how good they are because they were like a 1-point dog or even a pick 'em on a neutral against Arizona. Let's see these numbers against when Arizona faces the Houstons and Tennessee or Nova, whatever.
Yeah.
You'll see what people think about, or the odds makers and the smart people think how good UCLA is.
Of upsets in that bracket, I like Virginia Tech as an upset. I think Marquette will beat North Carolina. I do think Marquette will push Baylor too. I like. I just think they match up well. They have really good athletes at Marquette. Coach Shaka Smart. Remember what he did at VCU. If you forget what he did at Texas, because those were not his best coaching, but if he can recreate what he did, I remember going to the Final Four with VCU, I think this Marquette team could at least push Baylor in that one. I also think Murray State will at least give Kentucky for half the game. I think it's one of those, if they get out there, you bet the first half. Because I think they'll wear down Kentucky's size, Kentucky's athleticism. But to me, out of that bracket, I have UCLA. I have UCLA Purdue. So I do have upsets, but it is, and I have UCLA coming out of there. What do you think, Sean?
Yeah, I'm with you on Ucla, and I got Kentucky. So
yeah,
I'm high on Kentucky. I just think when you see them play good, like when they mauled up on Kansas, so when they're there to play and it's guys seem healthy, and this time
shooting is their issue. If they shoot the ball well from the 3-point line, they will win it all. They have some of the best talent and defense and length, and they're deep. I mean, they have everything. But like you saw against Tennessee, when they're not hitting, it's tough to beat teams nowadays. If you don't hit 3-pointers, the other team even is only shooting 35%. That's the difference nowadays in college basketball. It takes the athleticism that Kentucky and the North Carolinas that always have dominated people with the size and athleticism. Guess what? 3-point shooting is the great equalizer.
That's it.
In Kentucky, when they lost this year, it was almost always 3-point shooting that let them down. So I think that'll be an interesting bracket there as we get to the Sweet 16. Now, last bracket we look at, I thought maybe one of the easier brackets, to be very honest. This is the Midwest. You have Kansas as the 1 seed, Auburn as the 2, which before the SEC tournament, a lot of people thought they were going to be a 1 seed. So I guess maybe people think that's why this is tougher. But I just think Wisconsin, they got everything and then some out of the talent this year. They're the 3 seed. And then the 4 seed Providence. This is the worst Big East champion we've probably ever seen. With all the close games they had. Can they continue to win these close games? I mean, it seems like every game they win 3 points or under. So what's the opening line for the South Dakota State game, Providence?
It was 2.5.
That tells you how close all the Providence games are. I think they'll win, but it's like they might not cover. That's just the way this Providence team. Ed Cooley has done a great job there, but I think everything fell perfectly this year. They got every break.
We talk about just making a shot. Well, they made shots late, and they end up getting wins. I mean, were they 27-3? I mean, great. You need a little luck. I'm not saying you don't need luck to win some games, and they sure as heck got it in spades. They were just every game. I mean, and in this the bracket. This is what are they just trying to get Kansas into the Final Four? Look at this bracket.
Iowa is the threat there.
I think Iowa because I wouldn't be shocked if San Diego State. That team, going back even to on the other side with Boise or whoever, like a Wyoming, they're just so used to playing ugly kind of games.
Yep.
They don't care. They'll smother Kansas, and if Kansas misses a shot, I can see them going down and taking every second off that clock, and Kansas just gets flustered and loses or they'll win like 53-51 or lose some kind of close game.
I think Kansas is
this bracket is absolutely terrible. I think Iowa could.
Don't you think Kansas is praying that Creighton beats them because?
Yeah, they don't have anything to do with a defensive team.
Creighton plays up and down a little more, and I think they match up really well with them.
They saw that versus Texas Tech. They don't want to play some ugly ball. They don't want to be like, well, here we go. No team wants to play like that now. Everybody wants to just run and shoot threes and rebound and get out on a fast break or whatever the case would be. Yeah, Creighton would be a great matchup for them because Creighton's young.
I think that'll be a good game too. San Diego State Creighton, I think, will actually be really good because both teams, play such a contrasting style.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of teams in the Big East that play that style. So I think that should be a really interesting, pretty much every 8-9 game is always interesting. And then what do you think of Richmond? I mean, you have 5 super seniors, as they call them, all coming back. And then, of course, beating the favorite and the regular season champ Davidson last time out. What do you think of that matchup?
I like the 10 there. You're getting double digits.
Crazy, isn't it?
Off of, it's the A-10 or the conference 10. This team, Richmond was, before the season, they were right up there to win the A-10 with Davidson or maybe a VC or something. They were, I think they're 275 favorite. They're right towards the top. It's not like this is a joke team. They missed a bit 2 years ago with COVID. They got upset last year. They had a lot of injuries. And I remember having a tournament. I thought guys are coming back, and they lost a close one in their tournament. This is a battle-tested team, even though they weren't tournament bound. Iowa, great run. And that's a scary thing is that because a team like that who, what were they, a 5 seed or what were they, the 4 seed for the Big Ten, Iowa? And then you roll through, you're like, ooh, but again, the Big Ten, who are you loving in the Big Ten? I mean, Iowa beat Purdue. we've seen Purdue lose some bad games. I mean, did they lose 48-40? Who lost 48-40? Oh, Iowa lost 48-46 at Rutgers. I mean,
right.
Come on.
If it's low scoring,
and you're gonna give 10 points to a team, Richmond could shoot the ball. They're a good team.
They're one of those that they really only have 2 or 3 shooters, but they're one of those players that everybody does their role.
Yes.
If they're shooters, they shoot. If they're rebounders, they rebound. They screen, they screen. Everybody does, their role. And when you have that much experience, it's going to be dangerous for Iowa, especially if it's low scoring. And, it could frustrate Iowa because they like to get up and down and play a little faster.
Yeah.
Fran's done a great job with Iowa, but I think you have to be careful that when you get into these and you just look, because if you look at their score, they're probably average like high 70s. And then you look at what does, Richmond, Richmond, their coach played in the Princeton offense. So it's not necessarily the Princeton offense, but they slow it down. They want to beat you in the half court. So it's going to be a complete different style. I think Richmond easily covers this game.
No 104 points for Iowa for sure.
No. I mean, if they get 104, they're going to win by 50. So that's an interesting matchup. I do think after that, Iowa, can they beat, Providence? Because Providence likes to slow it down. So they might have to play 2 teams that like to play slow down. And then Kansas. The bottom half of this bracket, interesting. I want to get your opinion on Wisconsin. Obviously, kind of came from nowhere to win the tie for the regular season championship in the Big Ten. And then you got LSU, of course, firing Coach Wade after the sanctions that everybody knew. It was the worst kept secret ever that they were coming out. And then on the bottom bracket, what do you think of ACC Miami? They had some big wins. And then you have Auburn that hasn't won away from home, it seems like, in forever. What do you think of this bottom half?
Well, we'll start the Auburn game. Like, Jacksonville State's a team that could shoot the 3-ball. And I'm getting 21 points. It's Auburn should win this game. Yeah. Are they going to win by 25? Like, they have to, and I say this all the time, this team's got to be up by 30 to wave off a late game backdoor. So you think Auburn's going to come in here, it's going to be 40. If you think it's going to be 46-18 at the half, all right, maybe Auburn's got a shot to cover. I'll take 21 with a team that shoots the 3-ball and is going to want to come out and just chuck it, and no playing game for Jacksonville State out of the A-Sun. Like, they'll be pumped up. So I'm going to look at the points. Auburn should move on. Let's bet.
Well, don't you think this is also the Jacksonville State that wouldn't have got in if Bellarmine wasn't allowed in because they had been in Division I 2 years.
Yeah,
so they were the regular season champ. That's why they went.
Yeah.
It's a Jacksonville State team. If you like this game and you as a favorite, you have to play the first half, right?
And Jacksonville, they were the regular season champs out of this. Then they lose to Jacksonville.
Right.
So, yeah, points in the first. I don't even know, though, because if it depends on people. Like, people are going to be like, I'm going to take Auburn. I don't know if I want to take Auburn.
I think if the first half's probably 10 or 11.
Yeah, 21.
I would rather take the first half 11 than the full game minus 21 because Auburn, once it's out of hand, they're going to back off. And
all right. I thought you said take Jacksonville State for a second. I was like, I don't know if I want 10. I don't want 10 points. I'm taking 20 before I take.
Right. I would rather, if I'm taking the underdog, I want it for the game. If I'm playing the favorite, I want them for the first half.
Yeah. So if that's the case, Auburn's going to come out. All right, we've been bad for 3 of the last 5 games. They'll come out fast and put it away, and it'll be like that 50-20 at the half game.
Any chance LSU just lays an egg because coach is gone, and Iowa State had some games this year that were could compete with anybody in a Big 12 that is as good of conference as we've seen. The top 6 teams. I mean, what do you think there?
Yeah, I didn't play this one, but I'm looking at it and I keep going back and forth. Like, what is the mindset? Like, can I get some player quotes? Like, what are they thinking? How do you get a feel on that? The coach is out. Like,
this is like bowl season when the coach leaves. You have to kind of get a feel, and then you go with it. LSU's either going to come out and just roll, end up in the Sweet 16, Elite 8 or something, or I think they get blown out this first game.
Exactly. It's either a no-show or – so, again, we have 30 other games to bet here, folks. You don't have to get locked into this game. Somebody's going to come in and be like, oh, you got to like LSU in this spot because the coach is –
if you haven't read, if you don't have anything to do the next couple nights, just Google how Wade got caught, how sloppy he was. He basically had receipts from paying not just players, but paying people that were next to the players. I mean, it was so sloppy. Not just him; his wife was tied on the bank accounts. I mean, it was like how. And LSU knew.
He turned down her offer. He says we gave him.
LSU knew. LSU knew about this. All of the lawyers, they said in all these meetings now when they transpose somebody, they were sitting in the meetings. So they act like, it came out and they got these They've known about this for months and months, like 6-7 months. So I was a little shocked that they fired him before the tournament. It's like, hey, if you knew about this 6 months ago, fire him before the season starts.
Yeah.
But the best thing for LSU, they don't have to pay him, because when he was suspended before and he came back, the negotiation was, hey, if you get a double one sanction, you lose. We don't have to pay you. You can't sue us. He signed off on that. So he can't sue them, and they don't have to pay him. So that's the positive if you're an LSU fan. The other game right below that, Wisconsin Colgate. Wisconsin, I have them going out pretty far, but this is one of those teams that scares me because, I mean, they've even at home this year, all they had to do was win the last game of the season, and they would have won the Big Ten outright. They lost to, what was it, Nebraska, or was it?
Yeah, I think
Nebraska.
They're double-digit favorite, right? Nebraska. The game.
So this is a team that couldn't win at home to win the Big Ten, and to win a Big Ten in a Wisconsin the regular season, that was a big deal. So that's what allowed,
especially when you're supposed to be that good. You're supposed to be like a middle of the road Wisconsin team.
Yeah, so that was surprising. That's a team that scares me. But Johnny Davis, I love this kid. He is made to play alongside like a LeBron James or a Steph Curry. I mean, he is going to be a great running mate type, of Scottie Pippen type, where it's like he might not be the super duper star, but he could be an Andrew Wiggins type guy in the NBA. I'm excited to see what he does at the next level. But I like what he does. I think he'll carry them to the Elite Eight, in my opinion, out of this side of the bracket.
Yeah, and again, this is the time of year you got one guy who can do it, and he was their one-man show all year. So can he carry it?
They have a lot of role players. That I will say, they have a lot of role players.
Can they carry the 9 though? That's what I worry about.
Yeah, that's you always need a guy that steps up and has a great tournament. Last year, every team pretty much had that made the Final Four. So I think we'll see what happens. Out of this bracket, I have Kansas, Wisconsin. I do have Kansas moving on here. And what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Kansas. I think Auburn's going to kind of show up a little bit finally. We'll get that good Auburn team we saw, get the ball rolling, have a decent win first, and then you get in USC, Miami, both of those teams are garbage. I mean, USC's, I don't trust USC one bit, so give me Auburn, Kansas.
So Auburn, Kansas, and then you have Kansas coming out.
A little chalky there. Part of me wants to just go Iowa because I can see upsets here, but I'm going to say Auburn coming out. I like Auburn.
Okay. So I have Arizona, Kansas, Texas Tech, and UCLA. I have UCLA and Arizona in the championship game, a repeat of the Pac-12 championship. I see Arizona winning again and beating them for the third time. And UCLA did beat them once, but I think it's a rematch of the Pac-12 championship game. What do you have in your Final Four?
I'm going to go roll out Arizona, Auburn, and we'll go up top. I see I'm tough here because I like UCLA and Kentucky, but I'm going to go Kentucky and Texas Tech, and then we'll roll it out as a Kentucky-Arizona final.
Oh, rematch. Let's remember way back when Arizona won. I believe their last one. It was Kentucky-Arizona. And Arizona winning with Mike Bibby and company, right?
Yeah, I think it was like 96. I remember when Arizona won that. The headlines were Arizona staves off like Kentucky three-peat the year after Kentucky won. Like they were in between them. It said Arizona saves three-peat.
So I think it's going to be a good tournament. I like the brackets. Now let's talk betting. Before we do so, don't forget I have it special. I made up a special. We have two things. One, we have a free bracket contest up to $2,000 in cash prizes. Not up to. It's $2,000 in cash prizes. Click the link to sign up. You have to get the link sent to you. They'll send you the link. Just sign up. It's a Yahoo group, and then you'll be good to go. We also have a special. You can get my plays and Sean's plays for the first 7 days. So if you get it now, you're getting the first full week of the tournament. And not only just in college basketball, you're going to get NBA, NHL, anything else we give out. If we have NIT, you'll get all of them for $150. So $150 for both of us, 2 for 1. You can't beat that. The link is in the description. Only way you find it is if you use that link. So now let's talk about bets because and I want to make a disclaimer, let's asterisk. These are just me and Sean looked through these. I've placed some wagers. Sean has placed some wagers, but these aren't going to be our official plays. They might be, they might not. We might end up laying off as far as giving it out as a premium play. We still might bet it, but I just, people might say, look back after the fact, like you said you liked X team and then you didn't give that as your best bet. It's like the numbers I'm going to look through the numbers. And to me, I don't know about Sean. He can talk about it. But to me, I'm always looking for the biggest edge possible. So if I think there's 4 or 5 games of the day that I have a big edge in, those are the games I'm going to give out to the customers that pay for it. The other ones I might give out in my free play videos. Same with Sean. So Sean, what do you want? Do you want to break it down by bracket, or you just want to talk about it in general?
I mean, how do we want to roll through? Are we going to roll through ourselves, or do we want to take questions? I don't know. You know me, I'm like always like I can go anywhere. I've already bet games. I'm ready to rock. I got some lines in front of me. So
let's go back to the brackets as we talked about them, and then just talk about. And this is first round only games, either against the spread or the total. So we have the West bracket. Gonzaga, Duke are the top 2 seeds in that bracket. Give me a game in there you like, and then I'll give a game, and then we'll go kind of back and forth there.
Well, I'm going to start with. I'm going to go Memphis. I think Memphis, I'm going to have them rolling on through. They'll be battling Arkansas in the second round. So I'm calling Memphis upsetting Gonzaga. So Memphis over Boise first, and then they're going to keep moving on. I'm a little high on this team. They were a little bad, had a bad stretch, little hiccups when I'm playing good. Then they put it together. You lost today versus Houston. I get it, but I don't know. Memphis is going to be my little sleeper team out here. So that's what I'm going to get. I'll give you sleepers in my brackets. Games I'm betting, and we'll bet, and they'll be in the chat. And again, you'll come midday later, you'll see the games. We'll have a bunch out there. I post a little more than Craig. Right, I'm telling you right now, as I'm loading them up to the Picks and Parlays site, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 games right now as I'm loading them up.
I won't have that many. I can say that much. All right,
14.
my game I'm looking at, the 5-12 matchup, New Mexico State and UConn. UConn favored by 7. I see some even 6.5s and 7.5. So make sure you search for this. The total of 132.5. I like the under 132.5. I think New Mexico and UConn are built very similar. Just New Mexico State, no one knows about because they don't play on TV all the time. They're not playing on FS1 4 times a month. New Mexico State plays really good defense. I think this is a grinded out game. I think it's a potential upset. I think they'll probably cover. But I think the better play, you just take the under 132.5. That way, if they win by 6, it doesn't matter if we get the under. So I like the under in this game. I think 2 teams that play very similar. I think it's going to be a close game. Close games usually under because you get a very methodical, lots of timeouts at the end of the games, not a lot of fouls. So I like the under in this one.
All right. Next up, we'll head back to the south. We'll head to the south, the other side region, and I'm going to roll out Colorado State and Michigan. Give me Colorado State here, little doggy. I'm high on them. Last year's team, this year's team. Again, not the best results I want for them. But like we're talking about San Diego State below them in the other bracket. The Mountain West teams, they don't mind playing ugly. They can score some points. I know Michigan's got the size. I know you're a big blue guy. I know you're a big blue over there. But
not really.
You're a Fab Five lover over there. Don't
hey.
Just because you're from Ohio,
my Bearcats,
Cincinnati team.
The last time we were in the Final Four, we lost to Michigan's Fab Five. So not a Fab Five fan. I'm a Bearcat fan.
This team, I don't think they shouldn't even be in the tournament. And if Syracuse was here, I don't think Syracuse should ever be in tournaments when they're 18 and 12. But why do I feel as much as I've already bet Colorado State plus 2.5? Michigan's going to want to run to the Sweet 16. I just don't like Michigan. I think they're better off with the assistant coach running the show than Juwan Howard. Colorado State, again, it's just one of those ugly kind of teams that I like. Everybody's going to jump on Michigan because it's Michigan. I would have liked to get 3 here out of the gate, but the fact it was 2.5 tells me that I'm thinking correctly here on it, that they don't want to lay that 3. So I'm taking the Rams to get it done over Michigan in your, 6-11 game.
I will. So there is a trend out there, and I'll have to pull it out because I don't exactly know. But I remember the last few years, you're hearing a lot about it. When you have a team that's much higher seed than the other team, and the bottom seed is a favorite, usually the team that the 4, 5, 6 seed that is the underdog wins and covers. Obviously, if they win. So we'll be talking about that here in the next few days before the tournament. Michigan should be in the play-in game. Michigan is the worst record team to ever not have to make the tournament and not have to play in the play-in game.
They lost to Indiana 2 days ago. Were they not watching the game on Friday?
I would love to see, just remember, Michigan was down at half. Hunter Dickinson was out at Ohio State. If they lose that game, would Michigan have not even got in? So obviously they wanted Michigan and the big money, they're a blue blood team. They wanted them in. So they got them in. So here you go.
Yeah.
I like another 5-12 matchup in this one. That's UAB Houston. I think this UAB team, Coach Kennedy, I think he's going to have something for him. Most people that play Houston probably don't want to run with them and get an up and down game. Guess what? UAB wants to run. They want to gun. I think UAB +9. I think it's a single-digit game. I'd get on this now. I think this will probably end up at 7.5 to 8.5. So getting that 9 number, I think, is key. I think UAB keeps us within the number. I think it's one of those dangerous 12 seeds that we all know are always historically one of the biggest upsets. Usually comes in these 5-12 games.
Head down to the East, and I'm going to look at this Texas-Virginia Tech game. Now, Tech is a team. I want to take Virginia Tech, but I just don't like this. Something tells me that here come the Longhorns. And again, I like UCLA to come out of here and face Kentucky in their winning bracket, whatever round that is. I don't even know. They had these extra rounds. It's like used to be the semi. I don't even know what it is. 5th round. I don't know. 4th round. I am not going to be shocked here if Texas kind of puts their act together. This is a team, again, plays up sometimes, plays down in competition. I don't know. I'm thinking Texas surprising, maybe even a Final Four run. Who knows? They're my little secret team in my pocket. I'm a little worried about Texas. I'm going to say a little Texas as a little shocker there because you know what? I know this line was Virginia Tech 1.5 again. And a lot of times when I see the higher seed, your 11 or 12 or 8, now whatever the case may be, being favored over the lower seed, I usually jump on that like, hey, you know, these numbers are based on more the analytical gambling stats of the two. But I, like this one, much like the Colorado, I just feel different. I don't, maybe it's because I'm back my head thinking, you know what? There's so many people betting now, and everybody's gonna be on these, upset specials, your 5-12 games, and all these other things taking the higher seeds. I don't know. I'm not wired like that anymore. I got to switch it up. I'm taking Texas here.
All right. So, before I give my play in the East, don't forget, if you haven't done so, you can get both Sean and I's plays today. The 24 hours only. $150 first 7 day, next 7 days. So you'll get all the opening day, opening week, both the opening round, second round, and all sports. So any NBA, NHL, NIT, whatever we give out, get that 2 cappers for $150. Sign up. Also, free bracket challenge, free to enter. It's $2,000 grand prize cash. I think we're paying out 4 or 5 spots. So you can get all the details. Click that link in the description as well. All right, so we're still talking East here. I like the Akron-UCLA matchup. UCLA favored by 14, total 128. If you watch the finals, of course, Akron, Kent State had a little extra to it because these two are rivals. Kent State players got suspended because they were talking smack about the Akron's best player. I think Kent State probably would have won if we don't have that, but Akron did win. Akron was hot at the end of the year, just like Kent State was. It's an Akron team that plays a grinded-out style. I think this is going to be played in the 50s and 60s. To cover a 14-point spread when you're playing in the 50s and 60s is very difficult. So I like the underdog here. I think you take Akron getting that 14. I would hold off because I think that you can maybe even squeeze 14.5. I don't think we'll get worse than that 14. I think it's a single-digit win. I do think UCLA, you can dominate, win by 10 points in the 50s and 60s. I think that's probably what you'll see, that UCLA dominates the glass and everything, but still struggles to score in a very slow game, low possessions. Let's take Akron plus the 14 in the believe that was the East, right?
That's East, yeah. I'm looking right now. I'm seeing if what that line is. I'm looking for right now. See if it's changed a little bit. Straight, I see a couple of random 14.5s out there. A lot of 14s, but there are 14.5s available. Yeah,
I think it will because UCLA. Everybody's going to remember what they did last year. A lot of people, the only time they bet the NCAA tournament is every year. They bet basketball only during the NCAA tournament. So you remember, UCLA. Let's remember, UCLA was down, 9 with 3 minutes to go to Michigan State to even win the play-in game last year.
Easy. Never in doubt.
Never in doubt.
At UCLA.
Final Four. And remember, they had a shot against Gonzaga.
Yeah.
If it goes in, they lose, and Gonzaga or UCLA plays in the final game last year.
I had Gonzaga that game. I had UCLA over Michigan State. And I'm like, no way. This is way too many games in a short amount of time for them. But they're good. They're good. But again, I'm with you on that under. It's a grinder. Ugly. Take the points. Here we go. 5-12 Iowa Richmond. I said before I got the 10 points already. I'm taking the Spiders. This is my little A10 squad here. Again, you got a lot of experience. They just play their game. There's nothing else to say. I mean, Iowa, okay, nice little run. 10 is a lot. It's, Richmond. They're making up for 3 years of action here. Emotional win today. The guy misses a 3 at the end of the game. I get it, but no quit for them. The coach has been there a long time. I just like the team. I'm 10 points too many here. I got to take the points.
All right, I'm going to play the game we talked about earlier. I'm going to play LSU Iowa State. I'm taking Iowa State here. LSU favored by 4, total 125. I think the middle of the Big 12 was better than the middle of both these teams are in the middle of their conference. So I think it's better than the middle of the SEC. You add in that Coach Wade's going to be gone. And it's not like they had 3 weeks to prepare for this. I mean, they fired him on Saturday night, and they're going to be playing on, like less than a week later. So I just think it's a lot to ask for a team. They do have a lot of veterans, but some of those veterans were transfer guys. Cincinnati Eason transferred in from Cincinnati. That's been their best player. He was, second team All SEC. So it's not like these guys were, dying to be with Will Wade. They came in at the last minute. So I think Iowa State will cover here. I think they actually went outright, but I'm going to take the points just in case. So there you go. You have at least a pick in every conference against the spread. If you missed out, we actually broke down each bracket, gave our Final Four, gave our champion. So make sure you listen back in. And then don't forget, if you haven't done so, check out both Sean and my plays, 2 for 1. Click in the link in the description. $150. You get 7 days. You'll get all the first and second round of the NCAA tournament and all of the NCAA or NBA, NHL, any other play we give out. NIT,
baby. NIT bracket's coming on in about an hour and a half.
Right, and they start on Tuesdays and Wednesday too. So Tuesday and Wednesday, you'll have the play-in games, which will both have plays on, of course, and then you'll have some NIT games as well. And then the NIT are even on some of these other days as well. So you'll have tons of action. Yes. For $150. That's less than 50% off, and you get both of us 2 handicappers for 1. Also, the bracket challenge, $2,000 in cash prizes. So make sure you sign up. Click the link in the description. Sign up. It'll ask for your email and stuff, and they'll send you the link to join and get in on that. So it's a great chance to get in. Show us what you like. Of course, those aren't against the spread. It's just bracket. It's filling out a bracket like you do in your office pool or whatever, and it's free to enter. So, all right. So that's what we like. At least a little bit. Of course, you can catch more information. You're going to catch my show every day, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Sean, if you haven't gone over to the Picks and Parlays or the Winning Free Picks channel, go over to Winning Free Picks. If you haven't gone to Max Wagers Network, we're on the Max Wagers Network now as well. Like those channels, subscribe to them so you make sure you get Sean's stuff every day. He's at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time every day. Every day, right? You're doing it on a weekend still.
Every day, midday money.
Right.
And Tim Earl's asking, doing a show later. Yeah, I'll be rolling on probably about an hour. Roll in, do it all over again. Because I hit the comment section. It's like old school talk radio. First time in a long time.
If you guys join the bracket contest,
I'll put the link on the other thing too. So
we'll have that in there. So make sure you join, and we'll be having some other special offers to all those people that join the contest as well. So make sure you do so. All right, guys. Thanks again for Sean joining us, and hopefully we gave you some good keys. Hopefully we put you on some betting winners, and hopefully you joined that bracket contest. And good luck. I think the grand prize is $1,000 for overall winner. So $1,000. Hey, you can't beat that. And I think it's going to end before baseball starts, right?
Yeah, it's the 4th. It ends the 4th. Baseball starting the 7th.
Yeah, so you're going to get your money. Then you can use that to hammer baseball for the opening week of college or the Major League Baseball this year. Yes. It's going to be a little late because, of course, the strike. So, all right, guys, have a great day. Hit that thumbs up. Put in the comments who you like for the tournament, and we'll be following up with you as well.